Hello, I'm Adam Grimes. I want to share an idea with you today. And this idea came into being through the past several years of my career as I have worked in several settings, and most recently as Chief Investment Officer of Waverly Advisors. And the problem we had repeatedly was, how do we teach our interns and trading assistants and trainee traders the essential knowledge they needed to understand technical trading? Where was that balance between simplifying everything to the most important essentials without oversimplifying? And the problem is that there's no good solution to this question. The world of retail trading educators is a mixed bag. There's some very good things out there. There's some very good people teaching. There's also a lot of material that overemphasizes things that simply do not work in the market. And institutional trading education is often very specific. People develop deep competencies in one product or one strategy, but that does not often translate to broad proficiency in the markets. And the academic research is very useful, very interesting, but often very far removed from practice. So what we realized as we sat down and thought through this carefully was that to succeed in the markets, traders must have four things. You have to have knowledge, mathematical literacy, psychological skills, and the tools to continue learning. And the problem is that each of these things is absolutely essential. You will not succeed if you are missing one piece of this puzzle. And for instance, knowledge, the amount of knowledge required is vast. There's knowledge of individual markets, there's knowledge of global markets, there's knowledge of their interactions. A successful student of the market is also a student of human behavior and human psychology. A successful trader understands patterns in the markets, not the patterns we would like to believe work, but the patterns that actually have a statistical edge in the market. And a successful trader also has a good deal of street smarts. And how do you develop that? How do you build each of these pieces into somebody's education and somebody's knowledge and somebody's skill set as they learn to trade in the markets? And the other problem we found was that students come from very different backgrounds and they have very different personalities, and this is good. The idea that there is one trading personality or one personality that can be successful in the markets is completely wrong. In reality, people with very different skill sets and very different mental makeups and approaches find success trading. But the problem is that by the time somebody has had significant interactions with the market, whether it's trading or research, their understanding of the market is colored by those experiences. And if somebody has tried to trade a certain way, and even if they have not had success, a lot of times it's very difficult for them to step away from what they think they already know. And another problem is that many times people come to trading after successful careers in other fields. And what they find is that strategies that worked in other fields often work against us as traders. And there are very good reasons for that, which we will explore in this course. So I want to tell you a brief story. There was a Zen master in the late 1800s, and as you know, Zen masters tend to be a little quirky and a little off the beaten path, but a university professor came to this particular Zen master to discuss Zen. And the professor began by trying to impress the master with his own knowledge and learning. And so the professor talked on and on and on, and the master listened politely and interrupted only briefly to say, "Would you like a cup of tea?" And the professor, probably absent-mindedly said, "Yes, sure." And, as the master handed him a teacup and started to pour tea into the cup. And he filled the cup, and the professor kept talking, and he kept pouring. And the cup overflowed onto the professor's robe, and he kept pouring, and the professor kept talking. And you can kind of picture this, right? This hot tea, now it's on his hand, now it's on his leg, and where might it splash next? And finally the professor interrupted him and said, "Stop, stop. Can't you see my cup is full?" And the Zen master said, "Yes, it is. And unless you empty it, how can I fill it?" So what I would like you to do is to approach this course of study with a beginner's mind, to lay aside everything you think you know, and to try to imagine that you are coming to markets with no previous experience, with no preconceptions, with no knowledge. Come as a blank slate and see with beginner's eyes. And what I would like to present today are 3 courses that we have developed. The first is the foundation of profitable trading, followed by the patterns of profitable trading, and leading into honing the skills of profitable trading. And these courses are companions to my recent book, The Art and Science of Technical Analysis, Market Structure, Price Action, and Trading Strategies, published by Wiley in 2012. And what this course does is it, in some cases, delves deeper into concepts that are touched on in the book. It uses the book as a textbook, actually. And in other cases, we'll go completely beyond the material in the book and we'll go much deeper into the application. And just a brief overview of these 3 courses here. Course 1, the foundation. The objective of this course is to take a student from complete novice, think beginner's eyes, to basic fluency in financial markets in 4 weeks. And one distinguishing feature of this course is compared to a lot of the retail material out there, is that mathematical literacy is emphasized. Every day of the course, the student will have an assigned reading with sometimes exercises from a probability textbook that we've chosen and selected to go with the course. It's a great little book, simplistic in some ways, but in the course of a month, you can go from having no knowledge of probability to some pretty deep intuition. The other thing that is unique here is that the understanding of market action is built from the bottom up, from the smallest elements of price structure out into bigger picture market structures. And the whole point, of course, is to learn how to understand the story of supply and demand as it plays out through the patterns in the marketplace. Through the course of these 4 weeks, the student will begin to build a chart library of important historical market patterns. We will look at everything from the 87 crash to the bubble in gold to NASDAQ bubble to the 1929 crash, and we'll go back into some what might be ancient history in markets, and just to start to see some of the important patterns that have developed historically. It's also, this is a practical course. This is not an academic course. So interaction with live markets is a very important part of this course, and that will be structured through hand charting and recording of prices, all designed to build intuition and understanding of patterns in the markets. And here you can see the weeks laid out. Week 1 begins with very basic chart reading, with focusing on the individual elements of a price bar. And we will also begin through these first few weeks to introduce some learning strategies and some techniques that will help you to be able to assimilate this knowledge much more quickly than you might expect. Week 2, we'll talk about understanding probability in trading, and we'll expand what we started in week 1 with the elements of the price bars to thinking in bigger picture structures and swings. Week 3 contains a lot of information on basic asset classes, major important asset classes, and we'll take a deep look at market cycles. There are a lot of cycles in the market, but there is only one that is critically important. Which one is that, and what do we do with it? And week 4, we'll look at 2 specific trading patterns that I have used through the course of my nearly 20-year trading career more than anything else. And we'll also, the psychological elements are touched upon through the entire course, but week 4 will end at a really deep look at balancing fear and greed, opportunity and risk in markets. I'm going to move a little bit more quickly through the other 2 courses. Course 2, the patterns of profitable trading, is designed to build an understanding of price action and market structure through positive expectancy patterns. And this is done over the course of 6 weeks, again with an emphasis on actual market interactions, on learning through doing. And there is a paper trading, mentoring, and regular review component. Here you can see the 6 weeks laid out, and you see we begin with looking at trends, trading pullbacks. We dig very deeply into the mathematics behind position sizing, trade management, look at several trading patterns here, and finally in week 5 we take a very deep look at price action around support and resistance, and the student will spend many hours over the course of these several several weeks, looking at how patterns develop on multiple time frames, leading to week 6, which is trading breakouts, which is kind of the ultimate failure of support and resistance. A lot of emphasis here on psychological tools, on learning discipline and learning how to overcome anxiety. And then course 3, honing the skills of profitable trading. The objective here shifts to building a deeper understanding of market patterns, but to even more to translate that understanding to successful trading. Knowledge alone is not enough. And particularly the first course is heavy on knowledge. The second course blends knowledge and application. The third course really focuses on application. And this course will be limited to an exclusive number of students who have successfully completed the first 2 courses. And the emphasis is really placed on learning from the market itself, learning from your observations of the market and from your experience trading and managing risk with the markets. Also, we will run concurrently a trading tribe discussion group so you can learn and interact with other students who are studying the same material that you are. And here you see some highlights from the 6 weeks. You see we begin with looking at pattern research methodologies, and I will share some of the tools that I found to be very useful in my own work. We'll look a lot at multiple time frames and dig very, very deeply into some specific psychological tools, pattern interrupts, even some self-hypnosis, and a lot of things to monitor and control your own state as a trader, and to deal with a lot of the errors we make in the markets are psychological. They're unforced errors, you might say. And learning to manage yourself as a trader is just as important here as learning to understand the market. And then beyond the course, there's several possibilities if the student wishes to continue. There is, of course, an opportunity for ongoing mentoring and support. And we'll look at establishing support and discussion groups of traders that have successfully completed the 3 courses. And you have to realize that no course, certainly no knowledge, but not even any guided course to help you develop and refine the skills is going to magically transform you into a trader. It's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of your hard work. But the point of these courses and the supporting materials is to give you the support you need to build those skills and to succeed as a trader in today's marketplace. Thank you.